Kick it off. I'm Allison Schumacher. I'm Director of Academic Alchemy for the Da Vinci Center and co-director of the Graduate Certificate in Healthcare Innovation. My role at the Da Vinci Center is really to run our academic programs, bring together our corporate sponsorships for projects, and be able to advise students that coming into this program more on the product development side of things, because healthcare is not my specialty, but it's Ingrid's.
Yes, it is. But I'm Ingrid Pretzer-Aboff. I'm associate professor at the School of Nursing. I'm also a senior nurse researcher. I have an interest in entrepreneurship. My research has led me over the years to the development of a device that delivers vibration to the arms or legs of people with Parkinson's disease, movement disorders, to see the effect on that. Theoretically, philosophically, guesswork, we believe it's either, and this is over the course of 200 years, people have studied it, but I've taken it further than most people. It's either a feedback mechanism or it's a cueing mechanism, but there's not much for Parkinson's patients that'll help them move or move less than they are, such as in tremor. So through that experience, I'm one of the living examples of somebody that really needed this certificate, having an idea, bringing it to fruition to help patients. It's as an RN, and as you know, as through your training, we didn't get training that taught us all these elements that we need and hoops to jump through and what to do and what not to do. So I feel like I've run around boulders, I've run into boulders, and I've fallen off boulders along the way. So I'm very happy to be part of this program, and I co-directed and started this with Allison. And many other people within our two departments. So this is really a bridging the gap between healthcare knowledge and Jim. And I'm not sure, Jane, what your background is, but if you've got healthcare knowledge of how the system works in terms of administration or entree into the field, and you're missing the innovation, IP and knowledge and the business aspects and commercialization, it's a marriage of both worlds that we can put together so people can cross this nice little bridge and networking system. So between both programs, we have a lot to offer. And now I think we're going to pass this on, unless you have specific questions, which you can interrupt us throughout this info session. Allison is going to speak with Carlos, who's gone through the program and can maybe give us some insight. And I don't know any of his answers, so I'm excited to hear what he's saying.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Ingrid. Yes, this program is really meant to serve people who are curious about innovation in healthcare and people who are maybe already have an advanced idea or a product that they would like to develop. But yeah, bridging that gap. How do we help healthcare professionals understand how to move into the world of entrepreneurship, or at least the product development side of things, to be able to license a product? And how do we help people who are interested in healthcare who are already on the product development side understand regulatory and safety issues and all those kinds of things that we just don't have knowledge of on that side for the most part. But our guest tonight, Carlos Jimenez Morales, is our first graduate of this program. It seems surprising because we just launched this program last fall, officially after a couple years of development and thoughtful process. And Carlos was able to do that because he was already in the Master of Product Innovation program at the Da Vinci Center, which comprises half of the credits for this program. And so he's graduated for that, and now this spring is finishing his nursing leadership courses. Carlos is one of my favorite students who's come through the MPI program. From the moment he interviewed, he came in as a psychology major who had recently graduated, and I wasn't expecting him to start pulling prototypes out of his bag and showing us the creative, iterative processes that he was already going through. But he really displayed this mindset of creativity and problem solving and wanting to tackle the problems in his own life and around him, and showed a really great interest in healthcare. So welcome, Carlos. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so let's kick it off. Let's ask you some questions here. So what first interested you, just about this graduate certificate and kind of the healthcare field in general?
So I guess my interest started in the medical field a while ago. When I started college, I guess I wanted to be a doctor. But as I went through some of the classes and started learning about more of the requirements that I would, sort of the classes that I would go to kind of reach that goal, it was like I found out that I was kind of like squeamish around like blood. So it was not something that maybe I could pursue to the end. And I started looking into psychology, and that's where I got my degree in psychology. And then went into the Da Vinci Center Master's for Product Innovation program, where we had a lot of design sprints, and some of them involved healthcare. And that's where I started really liking sort of um, that process of going from a problem to coming up with solutions and maybe seeing it out, coming up with prototypes. And that's why I became interested in the certificate. I want to explore that even further.
I love this. I learn new things about you just in asking that one simple question. So that's fantastic, even though I've known you for a couple of years now. Great, thank you. I think that makes a lot of sense. Also a little squeamish when it comes to those things, but so important to understand that there are lots of ways to positively impact the healthcare field that doesn't involve fluids.
Yes.
Okay, so let's ask another question. Let's see, which one do we want to go with? So if someone was curious about a program like this and its content, how would you describe it to them?
So like you mentioned, I had already gone through half of the innovation courses. So having that sort of like background, the certificate in the healthcare side, it was a lot about leadership. There was a lot to learn there that I thought I kind of already knew. We had been working on a project with for my capstone in the Masters of Product Innovation, where we focused around employee training and onboarding, and a lot of that had to do with managing and leaderships within companies. But coming through the certificate, there was a lot more to learn about that. And there was a lot of information regarding leadership and what it takes to be a leader, as well as right now in the course that I'm in, we're talking a lot about management and management theory, and things like, I guess, human resources. There was a lot that I didn't really know. And it kind of bridges that gap, like you mentioned. Like I've learned a lot more from my classmates who I've worked on projects with. There's a lot of collaboration. We go through a lot of simulations that help us kind of tackle. The project is regarding forming a new symptoms management clinic. So it was really fun from the start. We've had around 2 projects with that. Right now we're working on our second part of that project, and we have one last part that we're going to be finishing up by May. So it's been really sort of fun because it's really interactive and you get to put the concepts to the test. And it kind of really matches up with what we learned in Da Vinci, where it's like everything is hands-on, and that's what I really like about it.
Excellent. Yeah. So fully applied program. And
Yeah.
that's excellent, I think, reference to know that the nursing classes are currently scheduled as online, but they're asynchronous. And so to know that there's still teamwork and project engagement where you get to interact and network with other people who have very different experiences and very different knowledge bases to learn from. That's a key component of Da Vinci and makes the nursing leadership program a perfect match, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So has anything shifted in the way that you look at problems as you've gone through the program?
Yes. Like I mentioned, there was a lot that I thought I knew. We spent the whole year interviewing individuals who were small business owners or managers or people who worked in HR, and we thought we knew a lot about their experiences, but we really, I guess, didn't know much about the entire concepts that help shape their experiences. And so being able to dig deep and dive into leadership and management has really been a big part of how I've shifted my thinking on things like maybe being able to just understand concepts from, I guess, a higher level or a deeper level will help me further understand the experiences that people are going through. So maybe starting out with that rather than, it's kind of like a mix and match. So it's really definitely shifted the way I think about approaching problems.
Okay. So more on the empathy driven side or the personal interview side to make sure you're not basing your solutions on too many assumptions.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let's see, what has surprised you about this program or about the content that you've learned so far? From Da Vinci, given you've gone through all of the classes that students could potentially take for the certificate, and through the nursing courses.
Um, I guess I wasn't really surprised, but really like more of excited for the fact that it was a lot like what we already did at Da Vinci. So it's a lot of collaboration, like you mentioned. It's online. I thought it might be more of a sort of. I had an assumption that it would be kind of like maybe like a specific class on a specific day. We would hop on Zoom, everybody would talk. But being able to work with my classmates and everybody has different schedules, it kind of made sense because they're nurses and doctors who are have 9 to 5s and or no, they most of them have 12-hour shifts. Yeah. So that was actually surprising, like learning that from my classmates, that there's a lot of they have different schedules than what you might assume. And so being able to work around those schedules and kind of having that asynchronous kind of, ability to work with them at any time and coming up working around schedules has really been like, I guess, surprising and about how well it works because we're able to, work around everyone's schedule and pick times where we can all work on the problem or the project that we're working on, and it's been fun.
So a little bit of just surprise in terms of other people's experience and those kinds of things, but developing empathy there. But yeah, I have my doubts about how successful I might be in an asynchronous class, and it sounds like you've had a really great experience. Now, if you can go back a little bit further, is there anything that surprised you about the Master in Product Innovation classes?
Oh, yes. So they were a lot different from my undergrad, like group projects. Yeah.
Yes, elaborate on that.
So collaboration in itself, that's been sort of the biggest surprise on how important that is, being able to bring in the different disciplines and coming up with solutions or understanding the problem from different perspectives. At first, in my undergrad, it was a lot of, we had an assignment, let's say we had to put together a presentation and we all just pick parts. Oh, I'm going to write this slide. I'm going to write that other slide. I'm going to research this and then just put it all together. But being able to work hands-on with actual problems, like in the Masters of Product Innovation, that was really surprising to me and was really like one of the biggest takeaways for me on how important collaboration is. And it kind of bridges the gap, not only from going into the work field, where you're going to have to do that a lot, work with others, as well as, there's no, in some classes, you might have some structure or like, this is the syllabus, right? But when you go into the work field, you're not going to get a syllabus from your boss. You're going to get, I guess, different problems coming in every day, and being able to work with your coworkers and put that together in an ambiguous way, or getting comfortable around ambiguity. That's kind of like the biggest thing. It's like just become comfortable around the fact that the world is not structured and things can change as we've learned this past year.
Thank you for mentioning.
Carlos, can I ask a question of
Yeah,
Carlos?
absolutely.
Carlos, in your journey, if we speak about that, it sounds like you've networked with a lot of different fields, people in different fields. And for people that don't know the program as well as you do, since you graduated it, can you share with us some examples of different types of specialties you've run into that you didn't think could help, but actually were enormously helpful?
Yeah. So in EI, we went to there was an European Innovation Academy.
Yeah,
That
that's
was uh, really fun experience for me. I've never been to that side of the world, so it was a lot. It was really fun. But at the same time, I learned a lot from the different backgrounds of the people that I work with.
I'm
So,
going to pause you for a second. I
mhm,
want to give context to our audience.
mhm,
In case the group doesn't know, the European Innovation Academy is part of the certificate program. It's offered in the summers. It is normally a study abroad program. This year it is virtual, but it is open to all students and most likely be held in person next year. But a cross-disciplinary product development entrepreneurial experience in either Italy or Portugal. Okay, please continue. Sorry.
yes. So I got to work with a lot of individuals from different countries, and sort of got to learn about cultures, and how, I guess, understanding not just their educational backgrounds, but their their cultures plays a big role in how you might approach a problem. And that's what I kind of like about the ability to work with so many different people, and being able to collaborate and come up with solutions or understanding problems. So there's been a mix of different backgrounds. I think they've all been. I think everybody's background is always important, no matter what problem you're approaching. So yes, there hasn't been really any like surprises for me. It's like I just like to hear, I guess, people's experience and how that experience shapes the way they look at a problem or the way they look at a solution.
Mhm. So I know in Da Vinci you've had experience with like designers and artists and business students and engineers. Could you be a little bit more specific about the types of people you're working with in the nursing program?
Yes. So in the project that we're working on right now, I'm working with two, actually, Juan, and Teresa. They're both in Da Vinci programs as well. So they have backgrounds, understanding sort of the innovation. And then I'm working with Amy and Susanna. They're both work in the healthcare field. They're working nursing. And so their perspectives have really shaped the way that we approach the project that we're working on. Like I would look at the assignment and think, I'm meaning to start my sort of like the design thinking that we've learned in Da Vinci, and mainly start to think about empathy and what is the feedback, or what are the needs of the end user, right? And then without having that background or understanding of the medical field, I wouldn't really know how to approach that solution. And that's where Amy and Susanna have been really able to help us. Like, I didn't know there were about the 36-hour work week. And then we had to come up with a schedule for this hypothetical new unit that we're working on to solve a problem for. And so their perspectives have really been able to help us sort of shape the final product that our final deliverables for the assignment.
Great. Yeah, that's a key part to innovation, right? Connecting the
Yeah,
needs of your user to a solution.
exactly.
So make sure it's valuable, that someone's going to want to buy it or invest in it or
Exactly.
become a part of it. Excellent to bring that up.
And I like to frame it in this way, is that there is a need. You're able to identify the need, because without the need, you can develop anything you want to. But if it's not needed, it won't go anywhere.
Exactly.
And everything you start with in any kind of a device, if you're looking for funding or if you're presenting it, it has to meet a need, or nobody's going to fund your device to move forward.
Yes, without that proven need. But we've seen that happen in a lot of larger corporations in terms of innovation. They, identify what they consider a need, never test it with users, and spend a lot of money developing something only for it to flop in the end. And I guess there's always that risk that kind of happens. But I imagine in the healthcare field, if there isn't a need, there is no room for grants or investment to be able to develop a device.
But I've been the recipient of several emails, and one person came to visit me with a device that I should test on my population of patients I work with. And there was absolutely no need that was identified, so it couldn't steer us. And I gave it to some patients, and they were not interested.
Right. Well, I imagine behavioral change in the health system can be quite the struggle. And so that value that we're talking about here that Carlos, you're mentioning is something that's absolutely necessary to motivate them.
It's not only patients, it's the people that are caring for the patients in the healthcare field. There's multiple layers, and that's what I believe that you learned, Carlos.
Yes, exactly.
The many different layers that you need to please.
Excellent. So I want to repeat too. So we have a few more minutes with Carlos here, but if anybody has questions for him, feel free to unmute and speak up or place them in the chat. Happy to address specific questions, but we have a couple more too. Let's see. So, So I guess, Carlos, are you out in the working world yet, or are you waiting to finish school?
So currently I'm waiting to finish school right now.
So I'll rephrase one of the questions that I had set up here. So in terms of entering the working world, where do you see these two programs that you've gone through, these joint programs kind of leading you in the future? Where do you want to go, and what are you aspiring to do?
So yeah, this is I've thought about this a lot recently because May is coming up. I'm about to graduate, so I really need to think about sort of where I want to end up. So with the background in psychology and the master's in product innovation, and now a healthcare innovation certificate, I kind of want to be able to mix all three of those experiences and work in an area where I can draw from the different experiences and use that to sort of apply to my work or career. Recently, what I've been doing is doing the design sprints with the Da Vinci Center, and where the most recent one was the pre-X. Or no, the last one was just a design sprint. Now we're doing the pre-X right now. But for the last one that we had with the design sprint, I was able to work with a group of students. They're also, some of them were in some of the Da Vinci program courses. They had ideas regarding therapy and how it's been impacted by COVID-19. So we, were able to work and come up with a solution based on that. And it was really fun. It was more of a digital / physical product. So that kind of helped me shape, I guess, my I guess the way that I would want to go after graduation is being able to work on both digital and physical products that might have an impact on problems that are within the healthcare field. So the solution that we came up with were therapy boxes that you could order online, and that would help assist therapists deliver that in-person feeling without actually being in person. And being able to work on something like that, maybe with a more of a startup, or I've really leaned toward entrepreneurship recently, but
that was my next question.
Yeah, so I've been leaning towards that. It wasn't something that I thought I would lean towards when I first started the Da Vinci Center. I did want to work with a company, secure a job and go that route. But as I started, prototyping and working with so many different people and learning about the different ventures and the different things that people come up with, I've been leaning a lot towards. I talked to Garrett last semester, and he kind of helped me understand, there's a way to balance those, and that's kind of what I want to do. Find a job where I can, incorporate both those things and maybe balance it out.
Well, entrepreneur or intrapreneur, a very similar type of mindset, whether you're working for somebody else or you're working for yourself. Definitely a very important skill set and mindset to have. And it's a lot of what we see our corporate sponsors, our healthcare system really starting to look for as change makers, as people who can come in, kind of assess where solutions or improvements might be able to be made and be able to help orchestrate that change event, that's really exciting. So I'm really excited. If you need those letters of recommendation or maybe some introductions to some healthcare companies, send an email. You know where to find us, right?
Perfect. Thank you.
We certainly don't evaporate after you fully graduate. So can always use us as a resource. Those are all of my questions, Ingrid, or anyone else. If you have a question, feel free to speak up or drop it in chat.
It just seems, Carlos, that your mind has been opened up to so many different possibilities, and all the networking that you do in this program really does help with that. Just keep talking and communicating with people that you've met, and connecting, and things just sometimes fall out of the sky, and the stars line up, whatever phrase you want to use. But you've got a skill set that is very unique, I think. And this program is extremely unique as well. So more power to you.
Thank you.
Great. I'm sure you're going to do amazing things. You're just going to start pulling things out of your bag at job interviews,
Yes.
showing them everything you have. Continue to impress. I don't know if that's what employers are looking for, but maybe startups.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
Good luck.
So thank you, Carlos. If we have any other questions, we can always follow up too. But I don't see anything in the chat right now, or mute buttons coming undone. So thank you for being here. If you would like to stick around, you're absolutely more than welcome to. But we don't have to have your time. You already know all the things we're about to say. So we certainly appreciate you coming to talk with us today and being on this recording to be able to send it out to other future students.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, have a good evening if you're departing from us, and I'll bring up the slides and we'll keep on going on this thing. So let me share my screen here. Okay. All of the things. Here we go. Okay.
Okay, we see it.
You see it? Okay. We're all good on that side.
Yeah, so we're going to go through a couple of slides to give you the nitty-gritty details of what the program is about. You heard it from somebody just now that went through the program, and thanks again, Carlos, for sharing your experiences. Everybody's experience will be similar but different, depending on what your goals are and what your curiosities are.
I wanted to share, Ingrid, if you don't mind, before we get into all the details, I wanted to share a few of the successful kind of healthcare related product examples that we have, since we
I wish you would.
Right. So giving some context, what is this thing for? What are we capable of doing? Since we launched the program last fall, we don't have direct examples yet from the cohort. I imagine after the spring we will, because we have more students making their way through these classes. But in Da Vinci, this program kind of spurred out of this wonderful relationship with the School of Nursing. But Da Vinci was already kind of working in the healthcare space, working with the healthcare system at VCU. And really trying to take human-centered design. So basically the scientific process of hypothesis development and testing, prototyping and testing, and iterative process, but adding empathy at the beginning. That's really what we call design thinking or human-centered design. And it's what our courses are based in, right? Connecting those user needs to the actual solution so we create value. And in this, we've done a few projects, and I want to share some of the more successful ones. So in the graduate program, I think 2 years ago, I had a group of students come into a project class, which is an option for this particular program. It's not a course that we've specifically listed in the curriculum, and I'll explain why later. But it is a really great experience for something very collaborative, but more of a synchronous in-class kind of experience. So similar to what Carlos is going through, but a little bit more coordinated in the academic side. So I met a cardiac surgeon from Chippenham Hospital, who his primary work that he does is the implantation of a pacemaker. And in that, when they cut the pocket in the pectoral muscle, about 2% of the time, that pocket fills with blood and plasma and becomes a hematoma. And so he had an idea to be able to create some sort of brace or something that would strap across the chest of a patient to where they wouldn't have to, or they could permanently protect a patient against hematoma. And avoid the current solutions to prevent hematoma. So the students got to scrub up. One, they looked at me like I was absolutely crazy when I put them on this project because they were a graphic designer, a tourism and hospitality major, and a biomedical engineer who hadn't built a physical prototype. So they didn't really know how to tackle this problem. And I think it's important to understand that in innovation, and especially in Da Vinci, this is about smart people and creative people coming together to solve problems. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be working on a problem that is associated with your background. So in this case, this ragtag group of people came together and did an incredible job. They were able to scrub up and actually go into the hospital. They learned what the current methods were for treating this. One of them being putting a 10 to 15 pound sandbag on the patient's chest. The other being balling up gauze and taping it down really hard over the incision site. And if we think about the users, the people who are actually getting these surgeries, more often than not, we're working with an older population, right? And so post-surgery, laying down for a couple of days with a 10 to 15 pound sandbag on your chest can cause shallow breathing, can cause readmission due to things like pneumonia and all of that. The students developed a sensor that could measure the amount of pressure that was necessary. They did confirm that 10 to 15 pounds of pressure is the right amount of pressure to prevent that hematoma. They disproved the gauze theory in that it doesn't provide much pressure at all. All it does is really kind of tear the sensitive skin of the patient. And so the final thing that they actually developed is more or less a shoulder harness. So it comes over the outside of your shoulder and extends across your body and can easily be attached to your side just below the chest. There's an air bladder underneath or inside of the device, and it inflates with the similar kind of pump you would use to take blood pressure. There's a sensor that shows the 10 to 15 pounds of pressure, but now you have a patient who can sit up, who can get up and walk around, have the free use of their arms instead of being in a sling, and hopefully reduce those readmission rates. Now, in this case, this one was special because while it was happening in a project class in the Da Vinci Center, the cardiac surgeon actually formed a legal entity, formed a business with these students afterwards. They got accepted into Mass Challenge Accelerator, which down in Austin, Texas, which means they got mentorship and funding to be able to support the work that they were doing. And now they actually own a company where they are licensing this technology. None of them actually want to continue to develop medical products, but they are able to license it to be able to take that funding and hopefully be able to fund the things that they are really passionate about. But they found the success and they surprised themselves with the type of solution they were able to create. So this thing is about ready to be manufactured and put out into the world. Another one, and I'll try to keep it short because I don't want to run us out of time here before we go through all the details. But another one is coming from Kilo Medical Solutions. So this is a company that 4 students out of the Da Vinci Center formed after the development of a product for babies in the NICU. So when infants are premature or in the NICU, they have to have regulated light and dark. So everybody needs darkness, everyone needs lightness to manage our circadian rhythms. And right now, the solution is to simply put blankets over the outside of the NICU units and then remove them manually. So they're just on and off. And in this case, if there's a problem with the baby or their vitals are dropping and they can't see the child to know which one might be having the issues, and it can cause a delay in immediate response to a troubled infant. So this team created a film, or they figured out how to use a film that's controlled through electricity. It connects directly to the machines measuring the vitals of the child, and it can go opaque and then in an instant go clear. But it's all controlled based on the rhythms of the child and what they're experiencing. And if there is a problem, it'll immediately go clear so that care providers can attend to the child immediately and see where the issue is. Now, this group went through the program. We helped them form their board. They did a bunch of student pitch competitions. They won about $35,000 for funding before they left the program. And then afterwards, they've been accepted into, I think, 4 different acceleration programs. I think they've attended 2, but have received about $250,000 in funding after the fact. All of these students wanted to be MDs. Every single one of them was a biomedical engineer. They all wanted to be MDs, and not a single one of them is going down that path after going through the master's program. The company's still going. They're still operating and working towards higher levels of investment and actually getting this thing widespread to lots of hospitals out there, getting their FDA approval and those kinds of things. But so really exciting stuff. I mean, it is any student, I think, is capable of being able to go to those heights or to get the funding that they need, just going through the right development process and kind of having the right connections and networking. But those students have been graduated for a couple of years. They still come back to Da Vinci, they still talk to us, and we are still more than happy to be able to connect them to resources that they need. So know that that is a beautiful thing from both through nursing and through Da Vinci, that there's a broad network that students get to tap into. So gave a couple examples. I have plenty more if anybody ever wants to hear them, but for sake of
I just
time.
want to add something, Allison, a little more simple and something to think about in this day and age with everything COVID related and having to be distanced from people. I dabble in the world of sensors and devices and material science. Between those two sciences, okay, bye. Between those two sciences and the developments that are occurring across the board, imagination just can actually take form now. So anybody in the healthcare field that's thinking, wouldn't it be nice if I could fill in the blank? There's a really good chance it could be done. So that's where the ideas from the healthcare field combined with people that can actually articulate and manufacture it and produce it. It's a fascinating time to be in that field right now. But yeah, we can talk a lot about that, but we probably want to show everybody about the details of the program. Can you flip the slide, Allison?
I sure can.
So the deadlines for applying, and we'll tell you all the details of what that entails. For the summer term, the fall and the spring, it's a rolling submission, and they open up in the second column. You'll see that. They also have closing dates, but as soon as we close one, we start the next system of enrollment. So these are the dates on this slide, and you'll get that when you get a link to this call. Next slide. So the overview, it's a part-time program. It takes 1 to 2 years to complete. You can do this quicker than that Carlos did because he came from within the MPI program. If you're coming from within the nursing leadership program, the same could occur. Otherwise, you do have to realize that, the Da Vinci courses, this says they're scheduled after 5 o'clock to accommodate the working professionals. They'll soon are going to be online. They were all in person prior, but Allison's working diligently to get these all approved and online for the 21-22 courses. And there's many courses that apply to this certificate, and they're building more courses every time I get an email from you. Just fascinating. The summer programs and the summer courses, I think we'll talk about in a minute, but the deadline for this is April 30th, 2021 is absolutely definitely worth looking at it. There's 1 credit summer courses, and it could be just prototype development or IP or something like that. And you apply through the VCU graduate school, 12 credits total for the graduate certificate. 6 credits will come from the VCU School of Nursing leadership program. And that really gives you, and we'll talk about the courses in a minute, that gives you a good insight into the organization of the healthcare industry. 6 credits from Da Vinci Center's Master of Product Innovation program, and there's a lot of courses to choose from. Next slide.
For clarification on the online work, so we are working to be able to offer online courses starting this fall. I do want to specify that not all courses through Da Vinci can be offered online, but many of them can. There will be a fully online option, but what that means is that students will be able to complete this program fully online with never coming to campus, but it may limit the Da Vinci courses that you're able to take. To be able to figure that out or kind of identify which courses might be the best for you for the path that you want to go on, please reach out to Ingrid and I. We're more than happy to meet with you in advance and give a more in-depth description of things to help you figure out what that path looks like.
Right, and it depends on what you're interested in coming into the program that will help you decide which courses to take, and we can recommend that to you. So the requirements are a bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university. Need to have that first. This is a graduate certificate. A GPA of 3.0 or higher on a 4-point scale. There are exceptions that we make based on holistic review of the person that's applying, and this could be related to their interests. It could be related to life experiences. It could be related to a lot of different things. So don't let that scare you. GREs, GMATs, MCATs, they're not required for this program. There is a requirement for non-native English speakers who have not previously been awarded an undergraduate degree taught in English from university or college in the United States. So for those students, they need to have a TOEFL score of 100 or higher, IELTS of 6.5 or higher, or passing score on a VCU English language program comprehensive test. Do you have anything to add to that, Allison?
What's that?
Do you have anything to add to the slide?
No, I've heard that the VCU English language program comprehension test is the hardest out of those three.
Really?
That's all I know in terms of that side of things. But yeah, I mean, we need test scores and GPAs mean less to us than the person that you are and the experiences that you've had. We're just seeing in higher ed that those things are mattering less and less, and the humans matter more and more.
More and more, exactly. The sequence of courses, I'll talk about the School of Nursing side. There's 3 courses that we offer. 2 were picked because of each 3 credits. And again, these are asynchronous online, yet they're very interactive. So this summer, Nursing 603 is offered. It's an improvement science course in outcomes management. So what I have noted on that particular course, I do have it. Okay, so there's an emphasis on quality and safety science. Again, that addresses the need, and to make sure that we are giving quality care, that's always a need, and also supplying safe science and safe devices and safe backgrounds. Talk about techniques and tools for analyzing organization and clinical practices. They talk about root cause analysis. Again, that feeds into need, and addressing medical errors. There's a lot of work, continues to be a lot of work in that area. Measuring outcomes, what outcomes are you looking at? And regulators and regulations to monitor safety is all incorporated into that course. The fall, there's the 515 course. It's a holistic leadership course. That course looks at self, the organization, and society. So starting small and getting broader in terms of leadership concepts and really understanding perhaps where people are coming from or where you fit in that spectrum. The 517 course is 3 credits also, and it's offered in the spring, and that has implications for human material resource management. That's a very important course as well. Of course, I think all the nursing courses are important, right? It talks about examining organization, individual and group thinking, foundation of human resource law, job analysis, writing job descriptions, design, managing conflict, which is always an important skill to have, working with multiple people from any background, whether they're different backgrounds or the same, and influencing a culture of diversity. Okay, my screen's open.
Got some technical issues. You good? Oh, we can't hear you, Ingrid. Or at least I can't. Something happened there.
Can you hear me now?
We sure can. Here we go.
Okay, so I don't know why my computer did what it did. It blacked out. But those 3 courses are really very helpful for knowing broadly and intimately what the healthcare field's like and how you enter the system, how you institute change, how you identify something that needs to be fixed. And I'm going to pass this now on to the second part of the slide to Allison.
Excellent. I'm going to do my best to keep this brief because everybody knows I like to share details. So the Da Vinci courses, we have quite a few that are open, and I'll break down some of our summer courses in the next slide because we just launched a series of graduate courses, and some of them are new to Da Vinci, but they are all open. These topic courses are all open to any graduate at VCU if they're already a graduate student or anyone in this program. So the Inno 600 class, it's called Integrative Design Studio, but this is the study abroad program. This is the European Innovation Academy. If any student would like to participate in this year, reach out to me, let me know. They are doing a virtual session. But next year, we plan to either be able to offer both Portugal and Italy. The program is making sure they can still hold their Italy program. If not, we'll go to Cascais, Portugal. for this. I'm lucky enough to be the person who gets to travel with the students. But that program is really idea to start up in 3 weeks. You get mentorship from, C-level executives from Google and Amazon and Twitter, and you go from idea to pitching to investors at the very end of this thing. I don't think the expectation is that people actually develop a business that continues after this. It's kind of hard to believe you might meet 4 people on a team from other countries and suddenly get to know each other so well that you want to start a company with them, because trust me, it's like marrying them. So 3 weeks is probably not enough time for that, but this is a great example, an incredible experience of cultural diversity, of working with people from different countries and how you take those considerations into the development of a product, right? It's not just solely in the United States or having someone who's come from abroad, but probably one of the most diverse groups internationally that you may be able to work with. And it is very much the fire hose effect. It is everything in product innovation and entrepreneurship kind of in a short period of time. We just throw it all at you and see what sticks, right? And then come back and you can go in depth in more classes later on. The Inno 691s, these are our topics courses, and they are things like intellectual property and prototyping and design thinking. And again, I'll give a little bit more on those in a minute, but those change every year. There are some that we're going to introduce and offer every single semester. And so there are a few more that will be open, but we do have 10 credits that are open to anyone who wants to apply for summer. You can complete all 6 of your Da Vinci credits this summer if you wanted to. And of course, you can always take more credits than what the program requires. If you're just interested in everything and excited about everything, we always will welcome students taking additional credits. The fall semester is a course called Inno 502. This is our business course in Da Vinci. So it's not meant to turn you into a business person, but it's meant to help people who are not from a business background better understand the concepts of business and building value and return on investment. And how do you actually make the case, understand the value of what you're creating, and then actually make the case for that value, and really understanding the business aspects of it. So this is, all of our courses are taught by industry professionals. This is something we pride ourselves on in Da Vinci. These are people who are doing this stuff out in the real world, as well as teaching in the program. So one of our favorite faculty members, Jeff Hammond, he's been teaching in the MPI program since it began. He is the instructor for this course, and he's an international business consultant and an expert in design thinking. This is the course in the fall that we're working on bringing fully online. So it will hinder students from interacting with the Master of Product Innovation students. You wouldn't necessarily directly be on a team with an MPI student or a group of MPI students for the fully online version, but we will also plan to host our classes in person starting in the fall. Of course, all safety protocol and everything there, and we'll listen to the CDC and the university and VDH about what is safe. But our plan right now is to kind of keep our classrooms dedicated to our master's students coming through, just to lower exposure, and be able to offer an inline program. It's one of the preferences of our incoming students. And so we want to have that as an option, but also provide the option for an online experience for those who maybe need to work with a little bit more asynchronous schedule. In the spring, this is a big class. So the Inno 651, this is for students who really already have a product idea in mind. It's something that you may have already been researching. You don't necessarily have to have been prototyping or anything, but if you've identified a problem that you're really passionate about solving, you can meet all 6 credits of your requirement for the innovation classes through this one class. And we actually have Alison Monpetit, who is, I'm probably gonna just absolutely butcher her title, but I believe she is the Director of Nursing Innovation and Research for the health system. She is part of this program, and this is the course that she has decided to take because she entered the program with an idea for a process, a service that she wants to be able to implement here at our health system. So she's in that class now and just doing a fabulous job. She also plans to take some of the classes over the summer, so she's probably gonna be one of those students who takes a few extras. Now, in terms of what we're offering this summer, brand new class taught by our executive director, Garrett Westlake, and our incoming manager of design thinking. And oh my goodness. So anyway, the Inno 691, this is a 3-credit class. The first one, it's innovation, design thinking, and change management.
Can you change this slide?
Oh, I'm sorry. I am looking at a different set of slides here. There we go. Thank you, Ingrid. I'm keeping one on this side so I can see who the presenter is. So you found me out here, but thank you for that correction. So the Innovation, Design Thinking, and Change Management class, this is a class to really help you understand the process and practice of design thinking and product development, problem solving through the lens of design thinking. This will include 3 internationally recognized certifications through a company called Experience Point, where we have trained trainers to be able to educate our students in this. And so there are very much things you can put on LinkedIn, a very, very good resume builder. And I got to say that change management training, it takes a couple days to go through it, but it's probably one of the most fun simulation experiences I've ever had associated with design thinking. I have a feeling this class will be a blast. And we are looking to work directly with industry partners to solve for real world problems. We've had some conversations with like Bank of America and other groups, and once we solidify what those projects will be, we can bring it into this classroom and spread the word to our potential students. But very much a real world experience, very good stories to tell as you are moving forward in your career path, something outside of healthcare or something directly related to innovation. The 902, so 691, 902, user-based research, this is very much about practices. How do you go about getting primary information from a user group? This is only a 2-week class, so it's very quick, but it's taught by an industry professional. UX UI, this is user experience, user interface. That is very much all about how we interact with our world, whether it is a digital product, if we're using an application, or whether we walk into a restaurant and the entire experience of what we go from meeting the hostess or walking in that front door through the time we walk back out that door, all of that is still considered user experience. So it can be based on service design, on digital products, physical products, those kinds of things. Packaging is a big thing of UX UI. And in this case, we will be bringing in a professional, Erin Brooks, who she is absolutely embodies the Da Vinci mentality of being cross-disciplinary, and she does this for a living with digital products. So you'll break down what good products look like, what bad products look like, what are the best practices in terms of product development. So if you go onto an e-commerce site and you put something in your cart, there are certain things you're going to expect. You're going to be able to click on that cart, you're going to be able to delete that item, figure out what your shipping is. All those kinds of things are best practices that we expect when we go into experience. So some things can change and some things tend to be more successful if they stay the same. The intellectual property protection, this is one of my favorite classes. We'll have a new instructor this year, but Chris Gatewood is an IP lawyer and has been for quite some time and has a lot of experience here, especially in terms of entrepreneurship and the development of startups. But really being able to help you understand patents, prototypes, trademarks, employment. How might you work through the development of a company or the development of intellectual property protection, right? So what you can protect out of what you created, and how to go about that process. And then the last one here is Scrum Master certification. This one is a 1-week class. Just quick and dirty, get it over with. Ingrid and I have both been through this. We're both certified Scrum Masters, and it's really about project methodology, so or project management. So understanding how you can scope a problem, what are all the things that you need to go through in order to accomplish that problem? Who are the stakeholders that you're going to need to provide information to? And then how do you work through your process of actually creating something that is usable in the end? And that is taught by our Scrum Master, Michael Vistos, and he's pretty amazing. That one is also internationally recognized a credential that you earn through that course. So at the end of the course, you have the option to take the certification test. That is about the only test you will ever see in Da Vinci. But just to be able to get your LinkedIn stamp to say that you are a certified Scrum Master. So the first one I talked about, the 691, 901, we plan to offer that every single semester, and we'll eventually turn it into a permanent class in Da Vinci. We went to run our prototypes and our make sure that we have our iterations down in that curriculum before we make it a permanent part of the program. It's nice to practice before you make things too permanent. All right, so next one. Almost done here. Okay, so tuition, this one I think is pretty simple. I know we're a little bit over time, so thank you for sticking with us here. The tuition is related to the home program that you belong in. It's variable at this university. So if you are a nursing leadership student or you're in a program in nursing, you pay nursing tuition rates, and those are listed here for in-state and out-of-state. If you are a Master of Product Innovation student, the classes you take for nursing actually absorb directly into the required credits for the master's program. So you can take both of these without any additional tuition or fees that you would pay out. You just simply replace your 6 credits of electives in the MPI with 6 credits from nursing. Any students from outside of that, if you are part of a master's program in another unit, you pay the tuition based on your master's program. And if you are only completing this certificate, you are considered a School of Nursing master's student, and you pay the School of Nursing rates. There's also a tuition and fees calculator that you can go see. But if you have other questions about those kinds of things, either you can talk to financial aid or reach out to me, and I will give you the best information that I can. All right. And speaking of financial aid, is this one also mine, Ingrid, here? So financial aid, there are scholarships that the School of Nursing is working on making available for students who are maybe just part of this certificate, since they are School of Nursing students. But if you are in the NAL program, there already are scholarships available to you. If you're part of the master's program, there are scholarships available there. Developing scholarship programs just simply for a certificate program, it takes a little time, so give us a minute. But if you are part of those other master's programs, by all means, reach out about those specific scholarships. We'll be happy to share some more information. In terms of financial aid and loans, really, as a graduate student, you only need to be in 5 credits in order to receive financial aid. But if you want to start this summer, it's important to note that this summer is still considered part of the 2020-2021 cycle. And so you would have to fill out last year's FAFSA in order to get funding for this summer. If you want to start in the fall, then you would simply fill out the 2021-2022 FAFSA form to gain access to potential financial aid. And if you prefer to take out personal loans, Elm Select is who VCU recommends for those personal loans. And in terms of graduate assistantships, those are available through Da Vinci. As a Master of Product Innovation student, there's also a wonderful VCU job board that a lot of my students will go to find jobs in other units and academic affairs and those groups. But there are plenty of people looking for graduate assistants across campus, and that can include tuition stipends and money that you're basically working an hourly rate, but you're not actually working hourly. You're just given an award to be able to help support you financially as you move through school.
Just to add one more piece to that before we move to the next slide, scholarships in the School of Nursing, if you're as a nurse going through the program, they're listed on the website of the school, so you can investigate that, what applies.
Yeah. And for Da Vinci scholarships, reach out to me directly. We tend to keep those pretty inside in our process, and I can give you details on that too.
Okay, so what you need to submit by April 30th, important slide, don't want to miss that because we're running out of time a little bit. Application form and application fee, it's $70. We need 3 references, but you don't need 3 references to start the process and be interviewed. Letters of recommendation, professional and/or academic. We need a statement of purpose and a resume stating relevant work experience. So part of the process of the application goes in, we'll contact you and have a formal, informal interview process. It's quite fun. It'll be fun for you too.
It's a conversation, and
you can't be wrong. Official transcripts from all schools attending, we need to get those, but you can submit, because they take a while sometimes, you can submit the unofficial transcripts to us. I lost my screen again. Allison, could you pick up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So just finishing up this part, we try to make this application process as simple as we possibly can. If you're just putting email for your references, you just need to add names and email addresses. So the system will automatically reach out for your letters of recommendation. We only need 2 in the system to be able to host an interview. So that's kind of how the process goes. Once you click submit on your application, we get it. We wait for those 2 references and read through your materials and assess whether or not we should bring you in for an interview. And then we set that up for a schedule and go through that. And then the committee makes the decision and we communicate that via email. So the last
Yeah.
slide. Oh, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I just got the slide back again. So stay in touch. So for contact information, and you'll shortly be getting, everybody that attended will be getting a link to these slides in this session. So thank you for your time and your energy. And do you have questions for us before we go?